Assalamu alaikum students, this is Shahbaz Khan and I'm back here again with yet another lecture of English. So again to continue to the grammar section and to start the time with the name of Almighty Allah, who is the most beneficent and the most merciful. So greetings to all my viewers globally, and today we have lecture number 5 of our grammar series, as you can see on the screen. So without further ado, let us get started. So the topic I have for you today is pronoun and the cases of pronoun. So in my last lecture we talked about noun and its types, and today we are following on to the very next topic in its sequel, and that is pronoun and the cases of pronoun. Don't forget that there are cases of noun as well. So we'll talk about that in some other lecture, but don't get confused by that. So let us talk about pronoun. What is pronoun? The question once again comes in mind, and in my lecture of word classes, that is the first lecture of grammar series, you came to know a little bit about pronoun, that it is a replacement of name. So what is name? As everybody knows, name is the noun. So noun is the name is the noun. So when we use something in place of noun is called pronoun. So when we replace any word in the place of name, then we use pronoun instead of noun. So the concept altogether becomes that pronoun is the word used for names. It means used for nouns. Here don't get confused. The word for means, as we know already, here it means in place of, instead of. There are other meanings of for. We'll talk about that later. So then let's get down to, without further ado, its cases. So let us talk about the cases of pronoun. Now in our society there are so many cases formed of pronoun, but to tell you the fact and professional way to tell you, it is that there are only three cases of pronoun found. There are maybe more variations of that, or those variations may be correct, but they are only variations which are formed from the cases of, from three cases of pronoun. So let's talk about the three cases of pronoun right now. So as you can see, there are generally only three cases of pronoun: first, second and third. The first of which is subjective case, which in other words called nominative case, as well as personal case. When it is called personal case, in other words, then it actually becomes, or its elements actually become, personal pronouns on the other hand. Then we have objective case, which in other word is called accusative case as well. And last but not the least is possessive case, which where we find such elements that are even called possessive pronouns. So there are types of pronouns, which is what I'm going to discuss in a separate lecture, inshallah. But here these two are certainly the types of pronoun as well. As you can see, personal pronouns and possessive pronouns. But only three cases. We are talking about cases here: subjective, objective, and possessive. So let's take some examples. For example, if we have I in place of a subject, the one who does things, then its objective case is me, and its possessive case comes out to be mine. Then what is possessive case? When nothing can be attached to that, and without any attachment, it itself gives a complete meaning. Say mine, this is mine. Now mine clarifies that something belongs to me. So it's a complete meaning. It carries a complete meaning. Then we have we. In other words, its objective case is us, and its possessive case is ours. The attachment of the syllable s right at the end. Then we have you as subjective case, and same goes for objective case without any change. And then we have yours as the possessive case. Again, a complete meaning gets formed by the addition of a single syllable s. Then in a single most part, I have written he, she, it. All are third person singular, and they are here as third person singular subjects, and they are subjective case. So their objective case become to be him for he, her for she, and it remains for it, as in the objective case. And then comes the possessive case of all of them. Since his has the syllable s right at the end, so it can't be his's, it remains his. But since her doesn't have the syllable s, we must attach s to that, so that sounds hers, and then it sounds to be its. So these are their possessive cases. Then we have they as subjective case, them as the objective case, and theirs as its possessive case. And an exception to discuss. Normally things don't really get discussed this way, but this is what I'm discussing right now. For the question in the absence of third person singular, say who as the subject, whom as an objective case of it, and whose, like more like a determiner, but used for the possessive case as well. So having noticed all that, let's note one thing as well. So keep an eye on the screen right now. When we talk about, I'm actually not marking only mine, I'm marking the three cases all together here, so you can see that. So when I talk about mine, so that I, me and mine, so they are actually called the first person singular. And when we talk about we and its cases, then it's become first person plural. When we talk about you, so it is an exceptional case where it is formed for both singular and plural. So that's first and foremost for second person, but for second person singular as well as for plural. And then we have the third person singular in shape of he, she, and it, all three of them. And then we have they as third person plural. So that's an exceptional case, and for who, whom, and whose, that's the cases of who are also the part of third persons. So this is what we need to see. Look at the screen for a while, and you can pause it, and you can write things down from it as I move on to another thing. Now let's talk about, now let me repeat, there are only three cases as you can see here, but there is a case that's possessive case, or what is in other words called possessive pronouns, forms two different categories from itself. So the first of which comes out to be possessive adjectives. Now what is adjectives? We are going to talk about it in detail in our coming lecture number 6 in grammar series, but here a glimpse can be discussed that adjectives are the words which define or determine or modify nouns or pronouns. So that's a different thing. We sometimes get confused and mix them together, like possessive pronouns get mixed with possessive adjectives. So that's a different thing, but it is formed from possessive case. Let's find out. So I'm drawing a line here so that I can write some possessive pronouns on one hand, and to form possessive adjectives from those possessive pronouns. Let's find out. The example is mine, and it gives us my as my possessive adjectives. Confused? Let's take an example. When I say this book is mine, then mine gives you a correct complete meaning. When it gives you a complete meaning, then it is a possessive pronoun. But once I need to use my in a sentence, then I can't say this book is my. That is incomplete. My is actually is a determiner. It is describing. It's an adjective describing a noun. So I need to attach a certain noun right after the usage of my. So instead of saying this book is my, I would have to say this is my book. Now this is where my comes into play. So that's not possessive pronoun. My, that is possessive adjectives. And in the same way, there are multiple examples as you can see on the screen. Ours changes to be our. Yours changes to be your. His, hers, it. Sorry, its, I beg your pardon. Typing error. Changes to be his, her, and it. And theirs changes to be there. So exceptional thing is we have removed s from some cases so that they become possessive adjectives from possessive pronouns. And for whose, now whose is an exceptional case. It remains the same as in possessive pronoun, and it remains the same for possessive adjectives, as is in the case of as you can see his remains possessive pronoun as well as possessive adjective. Now the interesting thing is, once we add self for singular or selves for plural, we form reflexive pronouns from the possessive case of it. Example, we have myself for the first person singular, as you can see, the attachment of my alongside the singular reflexive pronoun, that is self. So it forms a reflexive pronoun as myself. Then we have ourselves. Now selves for plural, as you have heard, and when we talk about more than one. So as you can see, the first person plural here, if we attach selves to our, it becomes ourselves. Then we have the exceptional case, as you can see on the screen, as you, it gets used for both cases, for singular as well as plural. If I'm using your to attach it with to make it to form reflexive pronoun with it, for singular case I would have to attach self with it, so it becomes, or it sounds yourself. It sounds for singular person, singular second person, and then I need to talk about more than one second persons, then I would have to mention them as yourselves. So as you can see on the screen, self is for singular and selves is used for plural. I have fixed my error, as you can see. And then I have himself. Now that's an exceptional case. Here him is taken from the objective case. It's neither found in the possessive pronoun or nor in the possessive adjective, as you can see. That, so that's become the exceptional case here. So it is singular, that's why that is himself. And as you can see, her is taken from possessive adjective, and that forms herself, and its actually is taken and forms itself. So things are a lot easier to understand here. That's for the third person singular, and that's another exceptional case, as you can see on the screen, quite interestingly, that that's not at all formed from either possessive adjective or from possessive pronoun. That is once again them. That them is once again taken from the objective case, and that's for more than one, and that's for third person plural, which is why it is formed to be and become reflexive pronoun as in shape of themselves. And there is no such reflexive pronoun when it comes to whose. So that ends the lecture for today. As you can see, to remind you, there are only 3 cases of pronoun. The first of which is subjective pronoun, subjective case. The second is objective case, and the third is possessive case. And the other 2 are actually formed from possessive case, that is possessive adjectives and reflexive pronouns. So we'll talk about that inshallah more in detail, and we'll talk about adjectives in our lecture number 6 to come. So that's all from my side. Until next time, it is goodbye.